Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, Text 30, chapter entitled Liberation from the Illusory Energy. Let me know when you're there.
Text 30?
Yeah, 11.330.
It's 11:3:30. Yes,
Parasparanukathanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashah Mithoratir Mithastushtir Nivrittir Mitha Atmana
Parasparanukathanam
Pavanam Bhagavad Yashah Mithoratir Mithastushtir Nivrittir Mitha Atmana Parasparanukathanam Pavanam Bhagavad Yashah Mithoratir Mithastushtir Nivrittir Mitha Atmana
Parasparanukatanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yasha Mithoratir Mithashtushtir Nivrattir Mitha Atmana
Parasparanukatanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yasha Mitoratir Mitastushtir Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha
Parasparanukatanam
Pavanam
Bhagavat Yasha Mitoratir Mitastushtir Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha
Parasparanukatanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yashaha Mitoratir Mitastushtir Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha
Parasparanukatanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yashaha Mitoratir Mitastushtir Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha Parasparanukatanam Pavanam Bhagavat Yashaha Mitoratir Mitastushtir Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha
Paraspara
mutual
Anukathanam discussion Pavanam purifying Bhagavat of the Supreme Lord Yashaha glorious Mitha mutual Rati loving attraction Mitha mutual Tushti satisfaction Nivritti cessation of material miseries Mitha mutual Atmana of the soul. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction, and by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. According to Srila Sridhar Goswami, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another or quarrel among themselves. Giving up all such mundane feelings, they should gather together and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord for mutual purification. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that glorification of the Supreme Lord is especially potent when performed in the association of pure devotees. When devotees engage in Sankirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord together, they experience the highest transcendental bliss and satisfaction. Thus they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, which is based on illicit sexual connections with women. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification? Starting today, I shall also give it up." One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them and to give up sense objects unfavorable to serving Krishna. And one should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service. By engaging the objects of the senses in Krishna's service, one automatically becomes detached from them. And as one passes one's days in the association of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more through discussions about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one who wants to be free from the harassment of Maya in the form of sense gratification must constantly associate with pure devotees of the Lord who have no engagement other than chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord and carrying out his mission on earth. Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out that just as one should cultivate friendship with devotees, one must cultivate a spirit of friendship towards the demigods who manage the universe on the Lord's behalf. Thus one should live peacefully within this world. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction, and by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So this is a very beautiful verse from 11th canto, very practical to all of us who are trying to advance in devotional service. Here he clearly says, this is actually King Nimi is asking this question to Sri Prabuddha, and Sri Prabuddha is answering King Nimi's question on how can we become advanced in spiritual life. And he gives many instructions. We should hear and chant. But before he comes to this verse, he says, one who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. This is by one pure devotee to King Nimi 5,000 years ago. This principle was valid, and even today this principle is valid. One should cultivate friendship with those who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. One should further develop an attitude of service towards all living beings. So we should develop friendship with the devotees of the Lord. We should have service attitude not just to devotees, but to all living beings, even to plants, animals, other human beings, atheists, non-atheists. We should have a service attitude and we should serve them. But we'll discuss how we can serve this different category of living entities. We cannot serve everyone at the same level. We have to serve based on their level so they can relate to our service. One should further develop an attitude of service towards all living beings. One should especially try to help those in the human form of life. So he's saying one should try to have service attitude to everyone. But those who are in human form of life, we should have, one should especially try to help them. And among those who are in human form of life, especially those who accept the principles of religious behavior. So which means if we have a option in the sense we have to make a choice, one or the other, then we know where the priority is. Among religious persons, one should especially render service to the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of God. So he says we should serve everyone, not just devotees. But there are gradations. And then he said, especially we should serve the devotees of the Lord. And how we should serve the devotees? The next verse is what we are discussing today. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. So this is very important. We should develop friendship with the devotees. We should serve the devotees. Learn how to associate with devotees. We should learn how to associate with senior devotees. There will be some who are more advanced than us in Krishna consciousness, some who are at the same level as us, and some who are junior to us in Krishna consciousness. We should try to see how we can serve each of them. We serve the senior devotees by following their instructions, by serving them physically in so many different ways, and by following their instructions. Those who are at the same level of Krishna consciousness as us, or similar level, little bit up and down, we should develop friendship and confidentially share our mind with them. Not everyone, those who we feel we can trust. And those who are junior, how we serve them?
Compassion.
Yeah, by showing compassion, by engaging them in services, by encouraging them in their spiritual life, and by giving them instructions. But we should also not give instructions as if, I am senior, you are junior, now thou shalt follow me, otherwise, I will be offended. Not in that sense, in a very positive, encouraging way. Even Raghunath Das Goswami, I was giving a class on Friday on Raghunath Das Goswami, and when I was preparing for it, I came through a passage where Raghunath Das Goswami had a question to Lord Chaitanya. So, Lord Chaitanya had put Raghunath Das Goswami under the service of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So, typically Raghunath Das Goswami would not directly approach Lord Chaitanya, he would come through the Swarup Damodar. But there was this one question he wanted to know: how does a person in renounced order of life should live? Because Raghunath Das Goswami, he was renounced from the very beginning. Even though he was son of a billionaire, but still he had this renunciation. He wanted to know from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him, when he asked, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that I can tell you, but Swarup Damodar Goswami can tell you much better than I can. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's showing the etiquette that even though he is coming and asking, he is still asking him to take guidance from his disciple, Swarup Damodar Goswami. Because that's the etiquette. He put him under his care, so that's how. But he then said, if you are insisting, then this is what, and then he actually said how a renounced order of person should live. Gramya kathana sunivekane, through, we should not hear gossip and things like that. And so many different instructions, and not even in our dreams, a renounced person should not think of women or men or like that. So, but here, then at the end he said, now you should take instruction from Swarup Damodar Goswami. So even Raghunath Das Goswami, he followed the etiquette. He used to go through Swarup Damodar Goswami, and then Swarup Damodar Goswami asked him to speak to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya again followed the etiquette. This following of Vaishnava etiquette is the way we associate with devotees. It's not, Vaishnava etiquette is not just formality. When we see devotees, we pay obeisances. This is not just a formality, and sometimes we say, oh, okay, I know him very well, why do I need to pay obeisances, what will I do? and all those things. But we should understand what is the purpose of following these Vaishnava etiquettes. Anyone?
Shield for devotee.
Shield for devotee.
Yeah.
Okay. Shield from what?
Shield from falling down.
Fall down, offenses. Yes. But what is the real purpose? That's the corollary. As a side effect, we get a shield.
To please Krishna.
Yes, to please Krishna. The purpose of following the Vaishnava etiquette is because Krishna is pleased. Even though that devotee may not care. We pay obeisances, someone just goes, we say Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, the way we want to respect the devotee. But the devotee does not respond, may not. That's none of our business. We want to please Krishna, we are doing this. We are not doing it to expect any respect in return. But we must be very careful how to follow the Vaishnava etiquette. With junior devotees, we should encourage them as much as possible. Junior devotees should show respect to the senior devotees in the same way, without senior devotee having to demand that respect. Because then automatically, if that respect is not there, or the senior devotee feels this devotee is really not feeling comfortable or is not respectful, then the senior devotee would recede. We would lose the opportunity for taking instruction from them. But if we show proper respect, then they'll open up, they'll actually share all the wealth of knowledge and devotion that they have. Similarly, senior devotees should not demand and say this is how you should do. If you don't do, then I'm offended. We should understand that they are not yet so advanced. They may not be able to follow the instructions fully. We should give them practical guidance, practical help, encourage them. Not only talk to them when they do something wrong, but also when they do something right, we should encourage them, appreciate them. Typically what happens is, if someone keeps on doing nice service, everyone is quiet. And say, okay, he's supposed to do that. But one little mistake, oh, you did this mistake, how dare you, how could you do that? Then the devotee feels discouraged. Oh, what is this? For 10 years I did, one mistake now I did. Okay, I accept it humbly, I don't mind. But when they're doing something nicely, there should be also encouragement. That is the way of learning. Even kids, if we just tell them when they do something wrong, then they don't learn well. Then they feel rebellious attitude in them. But if we should tell them when they do wrong, but we should also encourage them when they do right. That is how they learn. Then whatever the right they are doing gets reinforced. Oh yeah, my father or my parents said this, so I should make sure that I keep doing it. And when they do something wrong, then we tell them this is wrong. So this etiquette is very important. But most important is how we associate with devotees at our own level. Govinda Prabhu from Chopati, he was once saying that we should associate with senior devotees 20% and 20% with junior devotees, and with our contemporaries 60%, because that's where our anarthas come out. Because senior devotees, it's easy to be humble. Our mind has already accepted they are senior, I should serve them. If they do something, I will. Okay, if they do say something, I'm making spiritual advancement, like that. Junior devotees, it's a comfort zone. They'll glorify us and we'll be like, yeah, very nice. It's like we are giving instruction. It's again a comfortable thing. But with contemporaries, sometimes the competition comes. Oh, this devotee, he's advancing so much. So many things like this come up. Krishna shows us the mirror of what our real heart is. So 60% of the time should be with the devotees. We should have some devotees who who we can truly trust and have friends. Otherwise, we cannot last in devotional service. Some people who we can actually share that this is the struggle I'm going through in my spiritual life. And it's not like with everyone we go and say, look, this is my anartha, this is the struggle I'm going, because then the whole community will come to know, and then it may tend to be exploited. So those who we feel that they will not, they are truly, they are concerned about me, and they won't, they'll keep it confidential. At the same time, they can give me some practical guidance. We should share that. Otherwise, we'll keep it in our mind, and the Maya will exploit it through our mind. We have a choice whether we trust our mind or we trust a devotee. And at the same time, devotees should also act trustworthy, so that in the community, devotees can come to us and reveal their hearts. They feel, this, because everyone is watching, even though we may not see, but everyone is seeing what this is seeing, what that person is, how they are behaving, how they are doing. And then they may not interact, but they may build some trust or break the trust. Oh, this devotee is doing like this. I don't think I can share my mind. So it's as a service to devotees, we should act in a trustworthy manner. So this is very important, how we serve the devotees in different ways. That is how we should associate. Associating, again he's saying, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. So in the association of devotees is not just physical association. When we come, what do we do in the association? Oh, we come together and go for a movie. I did an association of devotee only. This is also association. He's devotee. We are all practicing, we do. But now, we'll go for... But the thing is, or do something in association of devotees which is not helping our Krishna consciousness. Of course, sometimes we have to loosen up. We go for picnics, we go for tours and trips, and that's okay. That's all right. That's building the bond and all of that. But the purpose of all that should be ultimately not just doing all these social activities. The purpose of doing those social activities is what?
Spiritual advancement.
Yes, ultimately we should feel that bonding to come together and chant the glories of the Lord and remind each other of Krishna. That's the main purpose of association. Is education and inspiration. So we can remind each other, so that we can have that relationship where if I am deviating from the spiritual path, another devotee can come to me and say, Prabhu, I think you are deviating here. Please, how can I help you? Not, you know what this devotee did? This devotee is doing this. How can a devotee do like this? What are we doing to help that devotee? That is the main purpose of association. We may probably go confidentially to a senior devotee and tell, we have seen this devotee is deviating. How can we help them? That's the mood. That's what he's saying. And by this process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification. We are coming here in the association of devotees in ISKCON is like a hospital. We should expect that devotees will deviate. We are, when you go to a hospital, do you see all fit and strong people? Who do you see? How are people in a hospital? Huh? Weak and?
Their kidneys here and they're running around. They're trying to look for their patient.
Right, that's doctors. But what about the patients?
The patient is sick and they're
Yeah, they're sick and blah.
like,
And they're having, some person is having bandage all over the body, some person's hand is gone. When we go to a hospital, we expect these kind of scenes, right? But somehow when we come to the spiritual hospital, where everyone is suffering from sense gratification, that's why we come to the association. We expect everyone should be a pure devotee. And if not, then I'll give up this association. I use that as an excuse to give up the association. When devotees would leave the movement, they would come to Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, this devotee left, that devotee left. Prabhupada said, don't be surprised if devotees are leaving. Be surprised that someone is staying in the association. Because Maya becomes very, very disturbed and insecure when someone continuously associates with devotees. And then there are so many tests that are given in the association of devotees. But we should never leave the association. That is one, that boat, we should never leave, because that's going towards Krishna, whatever may happen. So, and by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification. When Bharat Maharaj became attached to a deer, we all know that story.
yes.
Bharat Maharaj became attached to a deer, and because of being attached, this deer was just a baby, and he became attached, and he used to do his meditation. He was on the bhava stage. There is adau shraddha tatha sadhu sangha tatha anartha nivritti tatha bhajana kriya tatha anartha nivritti tatha nishtha ruchi bhava, and then prema, asakti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, 8th stage. And then prema. So he's just penultimate stage. He is anartha nivritti is gone. Everything's gone. He's passed. And he would do his meditation on the Lord, and because he became attached to the deer, he said, oh, this deer, this baby deer, he may need something, he may go, some animal may eat this person. So he would sit outside the hermitage instead of sitting inside the hermitage, so he can at least hear, if the deer is around. But his eyes would be closed. Then after some time, he opened his eyes, because he felt, okay, let me meditate with opened eyes. He was meditating, but he was slowly getting distracted. With open eyes and ears, both he was engaging where he's going. And in this way, he became attached, and when he left his body, he got the body of a deer, because he was constantly concerned about the baby deer. In the purport to that, Srila Prabhupada writes, if Bharat Maharaj was in the association of devotees, then someone would have said, Bharat Prabhu, I think you are getting too attached to this deer. You do meditation, I'll take care of it, of this deer, or we'll take turns, or something they'll do. It happened so subtly. It's not like he wanted to get distracted. He was completely focused towards his spiritual life. But without his knowledge, he slowly got distracted, very slowly. Then when we change slowly, we don't realize what just happened. There is this thing of boiling the frog slowly. This is not a good analogy, but that's how they say in the Western world. There is also another analogy of how the horses, if you want several horses to trap them, wild horses, what you do is they put some food at some place. So all the horses come and they take the food. Then next day, again, food is at the same place, and water, everything, all arrangement is there. Water is there, food is there, so that horses can come and do. So they come. After 2-3 days, the horses feel, oh, this is every time, everything is ready. Every time we come here, there is food, there is water. So they come to the same place again and again. After 2-3 days, the hunters, they put a staff there. Then after the next day, they put another staff, like that. So now they are surrounded by staffs, but they can come and go as they please. Then slowly they start putting, ropes around. Every day, not suddenly this whole thing has happened. One thing in a month, they build slowly. And these horses keep coming. Now they are always habituated to come there and see everything is there. They don't realize what's happening. And then one time they all come there, they close the door. It's all created, the door is also there, they just close it. Now they are trapped. Because you can't bridle the horses and bring them, it's difficult. But if you do slowly, they don't realize what happened. That's how Maya does. That's how Maya distracts. Slowly, small changes. We won't even notice, but others sometimes notice. Other devotees may notice, Prabhu, something is happening. So, this association of devotees helping each other. We will see so many devotees, some who are very senior to us also, struggling, having some fall downs. But our mood should be, how can we help them? Not how do we criticize them and put them down more. So there is another wonderful verse regarding this. 11, 14. Krishna is telling Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires. But because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. So here Krishna is saying, we may be devotees. If my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, but they may not have fully conquered the senses. They are practicing devotees, they may not be pure devotees, and that's fine. But if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires, but because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. And Prabhupada explains here, it is something like, but even though one's senses are not fully conquered, one who has unflinching devotion does not run the risk of being separated from Krishna. A great warrior may be struck by the weapon of his enemy, but because of his courage and strength, he is not killed or defeated. When we go for a war, then we may be struck by some weapon, something, but that doesn't mean we die. Sometimes it means we die, but not necessarily. If we have courage and strength and we still, we are afflicted by all these material desires and we are having all these anarthas in our mind, but still we are just not giving up and going forward, moving forward. Then, due to that devotion, ultimately that devotee will win. He accepts the blow and goes on to victory, still goes on to victory. Similarly, one may contract a serious disease, but if he takes the proper medicine, he is quickly cured. So here, this verse and the next verse is very soothing when I read that, because Krishna knows. It's not like, Krishna is condemning us until we become pure devotee. He knows our hearts. And then there is another verse here in the 20th chapter, 27 to 28, where Krishna has, having awakened faith in the narration of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Don't beat yourself up, is what Krishna is saying. This is Krishna telling Uddhava, my devotee. Having awakened faith in narration of glories, we have faith that yes, by hearing and chanting we will advance. We are disgusted with material activities. We know sense gratification is bad. But still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment. We know it's bad, but we are still not able to renounce somehow. That's the devotees who are in the middle. Pure devotee, madman. Only these two can be really happy in the material world. Either we are mad or if we are pure devotee. Everyone in between is struggling. Especially those who are practicing devotees, they are struggling more. But for a particular, because we may not have taste for devotional service the way pure devotees have. And yet we are wanting to give up. We've given up our things that we have taste for, and we have not developed taste for something that we are going there. We are in the middle now, neither here nor there. So sometimes we go there, and sometimes we are like, no, I should go there, but I'm not really feeling any taste. But no, I should still. So we have the faith, but still unable to renounce all sense enjoyment. My devotee should remain happy. Krishna wants us to remain happy in that struggle and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable results, and he sincerely repents such activities. So Krishna understands. He's saying directly. These are two verses combined. So when a devotee is, therefore Prabhupada says we should be like the Chataka bird. You know, Chataka bird is, his quality is that he will only drink the fresh water from the rain clouds that has not touched the ground. If it touches the ground, no, he does not drink. So he'll keep roaming around, thirsty. And when he's roaming, he's seeing all ponds full of water, beautiful lakes and oceans and everything. Pristine sometimes. But still, his aim is, I want the best, the purest, the fresh rainwater. And then, when it's looking up like that to the clouds, just before rain, there is thunderbolts. It's like, and it hits him and he falls to the ground, but he still looks up and goes up. So this is the situation of the devotees in the middle. We don't have taste for spiritual life fully yet, little bit, and we have not been able to give up the taste for sense enjoyment. We should take inspiration from this Chataka bird. And when we are trying to go there, sometimes Krishna tests. We may get severely discouraged by other devotees, by situations in our life. Krishna will give things like that, but we should not compromise. We should still continue looking up for that pure devotional service. When we do that, then Krishna is very pleased. He helps. He knows we are going through this. It's very clear. He's letting us go through this. But he wants us to be happy. My devotee should be happy. So therefore, we should always be careful how we deal with devotees. There is one acronym we can remember. One time, Aristotle? Yeah, someone came to Aristotle and he said, do you know what this devotee is telling about you? What this person is telling about you? He said, wait. Do you know for sure that what you are going to say is 100% truth? He said, well, I've heard like this. I don't know. I cannot say 100%. He said, okay, so this thing, is it, whatever you're going to tell me, is it useful to me? With this information will be useful to me? He said, maybe, maybe not. He said, okay, this information, is it something good that you're telling me? He said, no. He said, all right, then I don't need to hear. It's neither truthful. You're not sure whether it's truth or not. You're not sure whether it will be helpful. You're not sure whether it's a good thing or not. Then why are you telling me? Confirm these three things. Once this is there, then you tell me. So that's how some is, we should not do this to other devotees. But if someone is telling us about someone else, then also we should be very careful. Then also we should say, Prabhu, I'm not qualified. Let's please tell me something about Krishna. Tell me something good about some devotee. Because whatever I hear, that will go into me, I'll become like that. I'm worse than the person whom you are telling me about. I know that. So that's why we should follow think. T for truthful, H for helpful, I for inspiration, N for necessary, K for kind. Before we speak, we should think. Is it truthful? Is it going to be helpful to the other people? Is it going to inspire them? Is it necessary really? Should I really speak it? If I keep mum, will anyone lose anything? And is it kind? If it follows all this, then we can speak. So, there are so many examples. I'll just end with one pastime of Hayagriva Prabhu. You know Hayagriva Prabhu? Who is he? Yeah, he is in Prabhupada Lilamrita. You can see in the early days of Prabhupada, he was the one who edited Bhagavatam in English. And so he was an English professor and he met Prabhupada. Prabhupada told him, can you please help me in editing my books? You know your English, you have degree in English. He said, yeah, I can help you. So Prabhupada took him inside his room and then he got this big bundle of papers and he gave, here. So what? I thought it would be, editing, 2, 3, 4 pages, something like that. He says, no, this is my work that I've started. So then he very, patiently edited, and Prabhupada was very happy. And then he went to New Vrindavan, Hayagriva Prabhu, and then for some reason he left the movement. And then he met Prabhupada in Vrindavan. One time he came to Vrindavan after leaving the movement and like that. And Prabhupada, when he came to meet Prabhupada said, oh, Hayagriva Prabhu, Hari Bol. He met him like a lost friend. And he made him sit together. He said, let's have prasad together. And all devotees, they served. He was, so how are you? How is everything? And Prabhupada just was speaking as if he never left. He did not say, oh, what is this? You betrayed me. I put so much trust in you. How could you do this? Or he didn't give him any, silent treatment or, ignoring him or anything. No. Just and he in fact respected him. And he didn't even ask what you're doing, that you are in Maya, you have gone into this. Nothing. He was just very encouraging. And then Hayagriva Prabhu, he felt very guilty. And he said, Prabhupada, I'm very sorry, this, that, all these things he told. He said, no, don't worry. You have chanted in Vrindavan with me. Krishna will make sure that Krishna will take care of you. That's what he said. So Hayagriva Prabhu had tears in his eyes and then he left. And then in 1987, this was in 70s, right? then 1987, Hayagriv Prabhu got I think cancer or some terminal disease. And he was told you have 6 months to live. So Hayagriv Prabhu, then he said, oh my God, then all that, whatever he had read in Krishna consciousness and Prabhupada, all that came back. At the time of death, this is the final exam, 6 months. So he left whatever he was doing, wherever he was, he went to New Vrindavan because that was the community he was most close to at that time. And he went there and he said, I have 6 months to live, I just want to live here in New Vrindavan. And he started associating with devotees and doing everything. And he was also bedridden. After a few days he became bedridden, but he continued chanting. So devotees would come to him and say, you know what, after some time, familiarity was there. After a month, devotees started knowing him and they started telling him, oh, do you know what this Prabhu or this particular Maharaj, he said this, he did this. And Hayagriv Prabhu, he would very humbly tell them, Prabhu, I don't have much time. Please tell me about Krishna. Please read to me from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let's read together. I don't have much time. I cannot do anything about this. He was very, very humbly, he was requesting them. And devotees were like, oh yeah, let's read. So they would read. And because of that, devotees don't want to criticize. It just, this just happens. And they know it's not good. So when someone reminds, and then he started, whoever would say like that, he started reminding everyone like that, very genuinely. He didn't want to change someone. He said, what you want to do, you do. But with me, please don't do this. So, just because of that conviction, the entire mood of the community changed. Just by this one person. At the time of his death, he was taking it so seriously that everyone became conscious and everyone would like to be around him. And even otherwise, when other devotees would speak about other devotees, everyone would say, Prabhu, please, we don't have much time in this, we don't know. Hayagriv Prabhu knows he has 6 months. We don't even know how much time we have. Let's do some Krishna Katha. And just because of that, the whole mood of the community changed. And Radhanath Maharaj was there at that time, so he spoke to us, how in 87 how things were because of Hayagriv Prabhu. And then Hayagriv Prabhu left his body with all devotees surrounding him, chanting, praying, kirtan, and with tulsi mala, with tulsi in his mouth, kanthi mala, tilak. He was decorated very nicely before leaving. And Prabhupada had told him, because you have chanted sincerely in Vrindavan, because of Prabhupada's mercy, Krishna arranged for him to have to leave his body like that. So this is association of devotees.